Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for another yoga class. Today we'll be doing a nice relaxing stretching yoga with use of a bolster. So if you have a bolster, that's great. If not, you can also use a cushion or a pillow, and if you do have tension in the hips, you can sit on top of that pillow in Sukhasana, and that will give you just a little bit of relaxation in the hips. We'll also be using some blocks tonight to rest our head on, and if you don't have blocks, you can just use the weight of gravity. You don't need the blocks, but they are helpful in creating a restful posture. We'll begin tonight laying down with our legs stretched out. We're going to breathe while on our backs and place our left hand on our lower abdomen and belly space and our right hand on our heart space. And we're just going to feel the sensation of our breath filling up the body, filling the lower abdomen and up into the rib cage, and then releasing everything, contracting and releasing out. Taking a few breaths here, just feeling the body fill up with air and then releasing that air back out. And you can even take a deep inhale, hold that at the top for just a few seconds, and sigh out, releasing that exhale, releasing any tension, any stress. Relaxing here. You can let your breath return to normal, just slowing down everything, slowing the inhale and the exhale, letting the body calm down, and set any intent for your practice. We'll slowly take our hands off of our abdomen and chest and bend our knees into the chest, hugging our knees in, rocking from side to side if that feels good for you. Shoulders remain on the mat while we're here, just hugging the knees in for a wind release. And we'll take the right foot in, the right knee hugged into the chest, and the left foot down onto the mat, stretching out through the left leg and flexing through that foot. We'll flex and point the right foot, getting some ankle action, flexing and pointing. And when you're ready, you can start to rotate the ankle in one direction and then switch into the other direction. Just nice and easy ankle rotations. Opening up the knee towards the armpit, just getting a nice opening in that hip. And then we'll take it back down, right foot to the floor, bending in, the left knee hugging the left knee in to the chest. Stretching out the right leg onto the mat, flexing through that foot, and flexing and pointing through the left foot now. nice and easy with the breath. And we'll rotate the ankle when you're ready. Rotating in one direction. And then you can rotate in the other direction. Waking up our feet here. And again, we'll open up the hip, taking the knee towards the armpit. Just gently, and bringing it back to center. Hugging the knee back into the chest and placing the foot down onto the mat. We'll bend the right knee back in, and we'll start to extend through the right leg, flexing up to the ceiling and bending the knee back down. Flexing the foot up and bending the knee back down. Flowing with the breath. It's not important to get the legs straight. It's just an initial warming stretch. Activating the knee joint and getting some hamstring stretch while we're at it. We'll hold the foot up this time and take the left leg out straight again, getting a stretch all through the hips and back of the leg. Breathing here. And we'll bend that knee, bringing the right knee across the midline for a nice twist, and just very gently opening the right arm to the side while the right knee is across to the left. It can be supported by a block or by the hand if needed. And both shoulders should be on the mat. We're not pressing or straining into any position. We'll come back from that to center, hugging the knee into the chest before we set that foot back down onto the mat. And then we're going to open for a supine tree pose, opening the right knee to the side, placing the foot against the leg, and lifting the arms up above the head if that feels comfortable, or you can leave them in a T position. Basically, it's just as if we were standing in tree pose, but we're laying down. We'll begin to bring the arms back down and assist the knee up to parallel. Now we'll bring in the left knee, hugging behind the left leg in the hamstring area. And we'll begin to flex and extend through the foot and the leg. And bending the knee, bringing the foot back down, extending and bending with your breath. Remembering that it's fine to have a nice bend in the knee here. We're just warming up the legs, warming up the knee joint. And extending through the right leg now, holding the left leg up and the foot flexed towards the ceiling. Getting that full stretch through the thigh, the hip, the hamstring. If this is too much for you, you can leave your leg bent. And bending the foot back down, we'll take that twist like we did on the other side, taking the left knee to the right. The right hand can come to the knee, supporting it, and the left arm going out into that T position. Again, this is a gentle stretch, so we're not forcing anything. We're just letting the body open up as we start our practice here. Terrific. We'll assist the left knee back up to center. Hug that knee in one more time. And we'll place that foot down onto the mat. And open that knee to the side. Getting a nice supine tree pose on this side. Foot against the leg and arms up above the head or in T position out to the sides. Breathing all through the body. If it helps to put a block underneath the open knee, you can do that for added support. We'll bring the arms back down, bring that knee back to parallel, gently bringing both feet to the mat, both knees bent, and we'll take the right foot across the left knee, opening up the right knee, keeping the right foot flexed as we bring in the left knee for supine pigeon, hugging the knee in, holding the hands behind the leg. And if this is difficult in your range of motion, you can always use a strap or a towel to hold behind that leg. Or you can stay with the foot on the floor and just opening up through the right hip with the foot still down. This is a great hip opener and also a side hip stretch and side thigh stretch. We'll release the foot back down to the mat. Keeping everything in this position, we'll just drop it all over to the left side, trying to keep that right knee facing up to the ceiling and letting the right hip drop back as much as possible. So this isn't as much about the twist as it is about the stretch in that IT band area. And the more you let the right hip drop down and relax, the more you'll really feel that stretch in that area. Breathing into any places of tension Any areas the body's holding, and trying to relax through those spaces. We'll gently come out of this pose, bringing everything back up to center, uncrossing the right foot, and we'll take that all on the left side, crossing the left foot over the right knee, opening up the left knee, keeping that foot flexed as we bring in the right knee, hugging behind the leg, getting that nice stretch through the outer hip, inner hip, outer thigh. Breathing here and seeing if on every exhale you might be able to sink a little deeper, hug that leg a little closer in the pose. Gently we'll release the foot back to the mat and take that all down towards the right side, keeping the body position, making sure the knee stays propped up and looking up towards the ceiling, placing your hand against the knee if that's necessary for you. I know I need to. And go ahead and let that left hip just settle back towards the mat as much as is comfortable, releasing and relaxing through that area, getting that nice IT band stretch. Both shoulders on the mat. You can take the left arm out to the side if you want to. I generally just let it sit on my hip. Bringing everything back to center now, uncrossing the legs and taking the feet wide to the sides of the mat and getting a nice windshield wiper, supine windshield wiper here. Just relax out those hips. We'll gently shift the hips over, turning onto one side and pressing up. Great work there. We'll come into Sukhasana, easy pose, cross-legged seat. And you can, of course, use the cushion underneath your hips if it's more comfortable for you. Here we'll take some neck stretches, just looking from side to side, flowing with our own breath. Getting some motion in our neck. And taking chin to the chest and looking up, making sure the shoulders stay back and down. This is only for the neck. From here we'll take one ear to one shoulder, rolling through chin to chest and the other ear to the other shoulder. You can leave your hands on your legs or put them over to the sides to just give a little bit of gravity to the shoulders. And then we'll come up to neutral. Head back into an aligned position. From here we'll come into tabletop pose, hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and cat-cow, arching on the inhale, contracting, and going into child pose on the exhale. So a cat-cow child pose here, inhaling to arch, exhaling to round and press back to the heels. Beautiful. Continuing with your own breath, inhaling to arch and exhaling to round and float back to the heels. Go a few more times on your own breath. And from here we'll come back, rolling up into Thunderbolt pose, knees together, hips on the heels. Lifting the arms up, we'll take some light twists to the right and left. I like to place my hand on the small of the back here, but you can just leave your arm extended if that works better for you. Inhaling to lift and exhaling to twist. And inhaling to lift again and exhaling to twist. We'll inhale again here, lifting the arms back up and slowly let them float down. As we sit to the side of the heels, we're going to take a half butterfly Janushirasana head to knee pose. This is a sideways Janushirasana head to knee pose. Using blocks to support the head, we can lower ourselves onto the blocks and then relax in this position, gradually shifting the blocks if there is increased relaxation that lowers us naturally. The palms can face up as we're resting in this position, and it's very passive. We're not trying to get anywhere. We're not trying to take our head actually to our knee. We're just trying to rest here and allow the body to naturally release into the pose. We'll be here for just a few minutes, taking a longer yin approach to this pose. We'll plant our hands onto the mat and gently start to roll up through the spine, walking our hands back in. We'll take a gentle stretch forward, reaching the hands out, stretching through the hips, and then bringing the hands back in and rolling back up. And we'll take our blocks to the side. And we're going to release this through the hips, lifting up and reaching back, and then slowly flowing back down. And inhaling to lift up and reach back, opening up through those hips, and back down slowly. And we'll gently change positions, maybe shaking the legs out in between. We'll get all of that on the other side. So pulling the heel in towards the groin and extending the leg out to the side on the other side. Setting up our blocks for where we know we can realistically stretch to, facing the leg. We'll reach out and forward and then round over, relaxing into the pose, palms face up. And we'll just breathe here for a few minutes. And it's fine to adjust yourself deeper into the pose, or to realize that it's too uncomfortable and maybe you need to adjust out of the pose just slightly so you can reach a point of comfort that can be held. And then we'll place our hands onto the mat, support ourselves as we roll back up, and we'll stretch straight out in front, getting a nice hip stretch there, keeping both sit bones down. We're only here for a breath. And then we'll roll right back up, bringing the hands back with us. We can move our blocks out of the way. And we'll get that stretch counter to lifting the hips up and reaching back. And releasing back down to the mat. And we'll inhale to lift up, pressing the hips forward, arching the body a little bit, and coming back down to the mat. Beautiful. And we can just release through those legs a little bit. From here, we're going to set up for a deer pose, and I'm going to face you so that you can see. We're aiming for right angles here. The knee is off of the hip, and the ankles are aligned with the knees as much as possible. And And you can use blocks if you want to. We're going to take a forward fold here instead of sideways. Getting a nice stretch through the hips and groin. Walking out forward. Putting a block wherever you need. And if the stretch is too intense, it's fine to just stay up, seated, upright. It can be pretty intense for the hips. And if just getting into this pose is too much, you can stay in a Sukhasana easy pose, or you might prefer a butterfly pose. You'll still get some hip stretches, just be in different areas. We'll be here for a little while, so just breathing, not going to a point of discomfort, just a point of awareness where you can breathe into any areas of tension, breathing into any areas of stiffness, of awareness. And as always, we come out of these longer holds very gently and delicately. So we'll place the hands onto the mat and slowly roll up through the back, through the spine, removing the block. And we'll place our hands behind us to get an opposite stretch in this pose. They're going to be on a slight diagonal, just as our hips are kind of facing a diagonal. And you're going to drop that hip, so we're not pressing the hip up, we're dropping the side hip down and really feeling that stretch through the hip and groin. You really don't need to go far back to feel this stretch. And we're not dipping our head back at all. The head is just off the neck. And we'll come back up to center, bring the back leg forward. And again, we'll shake those legs out a little bit. Maybe rotate them in and out if that feels good. We'll take this to the other side. Grabbing our block once again. Getting our 90-degree angles, knee off the hip, ankle off of the knee in alignment as much as possible. And we'll start to reach our body forward and fold down onto the block. Again, if you don't have a block, it's fine to use just gravity to just let the head hang here. Or you can rest it on your fists, one fist on top of the other, if that is where your head stretches to. We'll begin coming out of this pose, placing our hands onto the mat and rolling up again through the body. And we could place the hands behind us again on that diagonal that lines us up with where our hips are angled. And just going back as much as is comfortable, letting that upper hip sink into the floor. We're not pressing it up and out, just letting it sink in. And feel that all through the groin, all through that inner thigh and hip, psoas. Breathing into that. And again, if it is too much for you, you can always come back to Sukhasana, easy pose. And we'll start to walk the hands back in, pulling the body back up to normal. Releasing the legs. And we'll come down onto our backs. We will cross our right leg over our left in an eagle leg position. Shift our hips over to the right, bringing the knees up into the chest as much as you can, and then we'll twist those legs over to the left with our arms in a T position. Here, if the eagle legs are just too much and it's too intense, you can just stack the knees one on top of the other. We want both of our shoulders to be down on the mat here. Breathing into our side, our hips, our legs, and trying to relax through the legs and hips as much as possible while we're here. All these twisting poses, they really massage our inner organs, so they really are very healthy for us. We'll bring our bodies back up and shift and adjust back to center. From here, we'll take that on the other side. Left knee crosses over the right. Arms out in T position, shifting the hips to the left, bringing the knees up, and twisting, letting them fall over to the right. Relaxing here, letting the body melt down gradually with every exhale. And again, you can support with a block if you like, or a cushion, or you can uncross the knees and just take a stacked knee. And we'll bring those legs back up to center, uncross them, and shift the body back into a central position. I'm just going to open and close my knees a little bit after that hip work. We'll take the feet out to the sides of the mat and the knees in. to just take a rest through the back and hips. Heel toeing the feet in, we can open up the knees for a supine butterfly position. And as always, if the knees don't open up easily and there's a lot of strain on the inner thighs, you can always use blocks under the knees. We'll shift our bodies to the side and come back up. Grabbing our bolster, I'm going to place the bolster in front of us and set ourselves up here for frog variation. So we want our hips to be on the bolster, supported. And then we're going to take the right leg out to the side in alignment with the hip, ankle lined up with the knee. And we're just going to rest here, opening the hips in this supportive, restorative space. Breathing here. We'll be here just a little bit. And then we'll take the right leg back and shift over to the left side. The left leg will open, knee aligned with the hip, ankle aligned with the knee. Resting the head towards that direction and just breathing here. And we can bring our hands in and our legs back and press our body up off of the bolster. That feels so wonderful. Now we'll bring ourselves into a wide-legged child pose, as wide as is comfortable for you. Toes together, heels apart, and you can always use a cushion instead of a bolster. And if the bolster isn't quite high enough for you, you can always take blocks under the bolster as well to give it some added height. But we'll rest down in a supported child pose, head to one side, and I will let you know when it's time to change the direction of the head so that we're even on both sides. And gently, you can shift your head to face the other side. Resting here, breathing, letting the body relax. And slowly we'll roll up out of child pose. And we'll set our bolster up towards the bottom of the mat, coming into a supported Shavasana. You don't have to use the bolster for this. You can just lay flat on the mat. You can also use a pillow or cushion underneath your head if you like. Take a really nice restful Shavasana. The legs can flop open to the sides, the arms open to the side. And we're just relaxing everything, allowing the practice to sink in, resting the body, sending our awareness through any areas of the body that might be holding tension. I always like to focus a little bit on the facial muscles because they hold tension that we don't always realize. So relaxing through the forehead, the eyes, the jaw, the mouth. Always relaxing through the neck and shoulders where we hold so much tension. And allowing the body to sink into the floor with every exhale, melting deeper. And you can continue to rest here, and I'll let you know when it's time to come back to present. Slowly, we'll bring our awareness now back to the body, back to the present space that we're in, back to the sounds that are around us. And we can wiggle our fingers and toes a little bit. We can rotate through the wrists and the ankles. Turn the head from side to side and just kind of wiggle through the body. Maybe stretching out one leg a little bit and then the other. And gradually we'll press the bolster out of our way and shift to one side, lingering there briefly, letting the body adjust as we turn. And then we'll press up to a seated position, sitting in Sukhasana easy pose. And just feeling here how our energy has shifted through the practice, how we have cultivated the intent that we brought in with us. Bringing our hands together, Anjali Mudra at the heart center. Lowering our gaze towards the floor and gently blinking open the eyes. Lifting the gaze back up. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing. I'm so thankful you joined. Please, as always, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see anything special addressed in class, any special focuses that you'd like to see for your classes. And if you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to respond when I can. And please do like and subscribe if you like any of the content here. All of my best. Have an amazing day.